I'm Joe.
And I'm Allison.
And welcome to Double Ketchup Mondays.
A mini episode, if you will.
And we just last Thursday released our podcast about Maxine.
It was such a fun movie to talk about that when we were in Chicago, we were breaking it down scene by scene and doing it in such intricate detail. An hour went by and we barely gotten through a few scenes.
And there were a few distractions. There was a naked man almost getting arrested, but it was a happy ending.
Yeah, they were happy. And then, I was struck by the second half how much more analytical we were being. Yeah.
When we were back here in LA.
Yeah, I was like, wow, this is so insightful. Did we come up with these?
But I feel like we do often kind of break down the plot pretty intensely.
Sometimes.
Comment and let us know if you like hearing us describe the plot in so much detail, or if we're wasting our breath and we should spend more time analyzing.
Yeah, please tell us. We would love to hear your thoughts.
Please.
But I was going to say, just returning to Maxine, how do we feel about the movie now that some time has...
Yeah, so Maxine.
I listened to my own analysis of the movie and I was like, you know what, I really do like this movie, which I don't know what this is about me, but the idea that it's all metaphor
that you're always reflecting. You actually were pleasantly surprised that you still agree with those opinions.
Oh, I was really smart there. Of the trilogy, I think Pearl remains my favorite, but I think Maxine took some big swings and the director's quote in that movie, the Elizabeth Debicki played the director, she said something like, if your movie's gonna cause controversy, that's fine, but you just better have something to say.
Say something.
Say something.
Yeah.
And I think that Ty West was trying to say something. It entertained me and made me think. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, it entertained me and made me think also.
Yeah.
With each podcast release that we have on Thursdays, on YouTube specifically, I also put out a little poll. Pearl is winning by a landslide, and I choose Maxine over X. Also, Brittany Snow is in X.
Oh my gosh! You guys, even though Joe thinks that I have face aphasia, I'm very, very good at spotting the celebrities in Los Angeles, and I never bother them, but I just get very excited. Yeah, we were in the movie theater and we were leaving. I really wanted a refill of popcorn because I had spilled my popcorn during the movie.
Before the movie started, Allison sits down with a giant thing of beautiful, glorious popcorn. And as you slid backwards, you tilted forward. The popcorn spread everywhere across the floor.
I was so embarrassed, and also I love popcorn so much that I was so angry.
Screaming.
I was like, no.
There was still like half the amount of popcorn.
Especially because we're sharing the popcorn. I'm like, no!
But
anyway.
Continue back to your...
So then I was really I'm like, well, I need to fill up my popcorn because I didn't get as much as I wanted.
Which, in a way, good thing that happened.
I know. So anyway, we're at the Universal Theater. And there was this woman in a big group of people in front of us. And she was wearing like a little black dress with like strappy heels and like had this like really beautiful bun. And I was like kind of struck by her appearance. And then I was like, is that Brittany Snow? And then I turned around and Joe and our friend were standing like 100 or 20 feet away from me, and I was like... So then when we got the popcorn, we left, but so I feel like I have a resistance to seeing X because of like the content being about like porn.
Mm-hmm. But it's interesting... Sorry, I cut you off.
No, go ahead.
You're reading the plot description, and as you're reading the plot description of X, you're like, actually, I kind of am intrigued by this now. I honestly would like to revisit it at some point, but I just remember and that's what, when someone commented on our community like voting system, and they commented like, oh, like I want to pick just one. I like all three movies, like as a trilogy. I like the collection of them. I commented for us on that post like, it's interesting with Ty West. With each movie, it seems like he's exploring a different genre with each one.
Yeah.
And so I definitely think that X is kind of going more towards like the grindhouse slasher film, and it was just like really dark and gritty, and that element I didn't like quite as much. But now that I have the context of the full trilogy, I bet if I were to go back, I'd appreciate it more. And then it's also before I really knew who Mia Goth was.
I really love
And so I'm kind of intrigued to go back and just see her performance of that. She's great.
I've loved Mia Goth since I saw Emma. So in that book and in that movie, Emma is this woman who like kind of feels like she's above love but also wants to like matchmake her friend with like this man who's like much above her status because she's kind of like I don't really understand the English class system at that time, but maybe sort of like middle class a little bit above that, I think, but not quite on Emma's level because she's very rich.
You are deeply going into the plot of Emma.
I love Emma. But anyway, she plays this very naive girl and she does it so well. It's so endearing and sweet. I do think there's like a queer subtext to their friendship as well. If you're into things like Emma or, British novel adaptations, comment and tell me that and we can watch all of them.
For Maxine 2, I'd be curious to talk a little bit about how there was only one big on-screen death. I don't think outright was a queer character, but I think it was queer-coded.
Very
like a black queer-coded character. We were talking about like how that was like very like violent and gruesome, and like why did they choose to do that?
Well, and it recalls the tropes that have existed in horror where the black person is the first to die.
It's like the one on-screen death that we actually see.
I think at
And
the
then-
end you see more.
But then you brought up an interesting point. It's like, well, we still see the bodies of all these women that are getting brutally murdered. We still like see the results of it.
Yeah, and I think in combination, like, okay, the Halsey character, or even Lily Collins, they don't really have big scenes, and then they
Die.
we just see the brutalization of their bodies, and then also the queer black character has a little bit more to do, but then we see this like very gruesome death. It's like obviously commenting on that, but then also it's kind of like the Mad Men conundrum. It's like if you're going to explore sexism and racism in 1950s America, but you're putting it on screen in a glamorous way,
Are you really?
how is the critique operating with the glamorization of it? And I feel
Yeah.
like that's happening a little bit here too, but it's kind of a difficult question to
Yeah.
parse. Especially because throughout the episode I was talking so much about how like, you know, these women's bodies are being shown as objects and they're like exploring the objectification of women. I'm like, wow, I didn't even think about how in that scene, his body is being used to showcase Maxine's humanity and how that is equally as problematic. It's interesting because all of the supporting characters in this film were not really given full arcs or complete characterizations, and maybe that was intentional to kind of think about how media does use certain people to tell certain kinds of stories or as shorthand for certain things. If it's self-aware, is that okay, or is it still wrong to portray stories? And maybe if there were more kinds of stories out there and everyone's stories were told and seen equally, then maybe it wouldn't be a problem. But yeah, just like a question I'm grappling with after listening to our podcast and also hearing my own bias in the recording.
Yeah, and I think you said it too with like Mad Men, like the
Yeah.
like just because you're aware of it, does
that
is
make it
still,
okay?
Is it still like? I mean, of course, it's still exploitative.
Because it's still also putting the message out there. Because like, okay, so with Mad Men, I love Mad Men.
We did a whole rewatch. Well, it was my first time seeing it.
But I will
Allison
say,
held my hand with each episode. She's like, all right, let's watch
and then
the
when you
next
like,
one.
if you were gonna go like make something, I'd be like, you can't miss this part, Joe. You have to come back. I like have this thing where when I'm watching TV and somebody else, I can like feel that they're not like paying attention, but it's like an important part. I start to get really like on edge, and then I suddenly realize I'm like, you know what? Why am I being so codependent with my viewing experience? It's my viewing experience, and the other person can have their viewing experience.
But I get it though. I enjoy rewatching stuff with people and like seeing.
Yeah, I
their
want them
reaction
to see the
it,
reaction.
yeah.
Like I get so excited. But yeah, I feel like when I watched Mad Men, I was like 20 years old. The kind of sexism in that show, I went to an all-girls school. I just like feel like it wasn't very, like I kind of knew about it, but I didn't think it really happened. Like all the focus on age in that show too. Watching that show kind of
Made you conscious about
more aware of
age?
that kind of those kind of cultural tropes. And then,
Okay.
I mean, we live in this world, I would have encountered it anyway, but I do think there's something to be said about how media can critique and reinforce our cultural baggage.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much for listening and for watching us today. If you have any thoughts about the movie Maxine, leave them in the comments below. If you want to talk about representation in Maxine or other horror films, please feel free to do so. And you can tell us what your favorite movie of the trilogy is as well.
You can also email us at queercinemacatchup@gmail.com. You can follow us at Instagram.
TikTok, Letterboxd.
If you're not subscribed, please subscribe and share this podcast with all your friends.
Is this the Gen Z heart?
Gen Z socks and Gen Z hearts.
I like my millennial heart. Okay. All right. That's QCC. Couple Ketchup Mondays. See you.
Allison has a hard time saying goodbye.
That's so true. Gotta teach me how to say goodbye. A Hamilton song I've been thinking about a lot since Biden stepped down. Teach about
Oh, yeah. Biden stepped down. I don't know if we need to go into that right now.
feel like
but Kamala just came out with an incredible ad that uses the Beyonce song Freedom. And it's so well done. Feels so modern. Did you see it?
I did.
Oh my gosh.
It was very exciting.
We didn't realize we were going to go into this political corner.
I feel hopeful.
It's a brat summer,
We
especially
saw,
at Kamala HQ, and we're excited for it. We're here for
we
it.
saw a truck that said Brat on the side.
And someone had one of those things that blocks the
saw.
sun from the car.
It said
Also
brat.
said brat. Look at that.
It's latched with my dress.
yeah.
My brat.
You're brat.
I don't think that I am, but I'll accept. Do you
What are
think?
you?
I think doesn't brat just mean like cool? I mean,
It means you're
new call
bold
to action.
and going for
New
it.
call to action. Please explain to us millennials what brat
Brat
is.
is.
All right.
Yeah. Anyway.
We gotta go. We have things to do.
Yeah. We've got
Queer
places to
Cinema
go. We
Catch-Up.
can't just hang out all day.
Stuff
all right?
to do. We'll see you soon. We'll see you soon. I'm thinking
See,
of
we're
how I
really
know.
now both of us have a really hard time to say goodbye. Podcasts come out on Thursdays. Please tune in. Goodbye.